Mark Boylan.
And I'm Andy Cusimano.
And welcome to this month's edition of Eye on New Paltz. This is the first show of the fall semester of 1992. And what do we have, Andy?
Well, our first story is done by John about Hudson Lager beer.
This is the head brewmaster and owner of the Woodstock Brewing Company, Nat Collins. He's going to take us inside, show us around. How's it going, Nat?
Very nice.
Let's go. All right, Nat, how did you get started brewing beer? Is there any inspiration behind it, and how long have you been here at the premises?
Okay, I'll answer one question at a time.
All right.
I started brewing as a home brewer, approximately around early 1970, 71. At the time, I lived in a community, in those days called a commune.
And how long have you been in Kingston?
In Kingston, we opened the brewery February 7th. Our first keg of beer went out of the brewery. What we emphasize is the name of the beers, which all the names of our 4 beers are all indigenous and local to the area. We have St. James Ale, we have Hudson Lager, and we will have in fall time, we'll have the Big Indian Porter and the Roundout Stout.
All right, right now, Steve is hooking up the wort, which is stuff we saw before, and that's going into the brew kettle, which is right behind me. All right, now, the hot water tank is sending the hot water from the brew kettle into the mash tun, and then the mash tun stuff is going into the brew kettle. So that's the next step, and takes a lot of moving around of pipes and tubes, and that's what Steve's doing right now. All right, now, first we had the malt. Crushed the malt, came into the mash tun. We mixed the mash tun with the boiling water. After that sat for 40 minutes, it went into the brew kettle. And it was spinning around the brew kettle, so we got rid of all the extra malt and all that garbage, the grains. After that, it ends up mixing with the hot liquor tank. Then the hops were added. That's what makes the wort into beer. After that, we went over here into the fermentation tank. From the fermentation tank, it goes back there, way back there into the holding tanks. Then it moves from holding tank to holding tank to holding tank. And then it ends up in the finish tank right over here. Now that process takes 3 weeks. 3 weeks. No sooner, no later. And then after those 3 weeks of going from tun to kettle to tank to finish tank after the holding tanks, you get your finished product. Now, you want to see some of the finished product? Come with me. Cheers.
That is so cool. I love when they do things like documentaries and stuff where they show how you make things. That's great.
Behind the
and
scenes
it's right here
look.
in the Hudson Valley. That's amazing. That's here in the Hudson Valley. Anyway, what do we got next?
Well, our next story is done by Trista, and it's about this year's freshman orientation.
Every summer, hundreds of students come to New Paltz College campus to get acquainted. These future freshmen and their families spend 3 days in preparation for their first college experience. Dean of Student Life Karen Pennington focuses on questions and problems of the parents of the new students.
I think orientation is absolutely essential to a student's positive experience on the campus. It gives them the opportunity to be here at a time when they are not intimidated by lots of other people, particularly upperclassmen. It can be a very difficult period. It can be a tense period. People are here trying to gain information, so we try to give them as much information as possible without overloading them to the point that they're so saturated that they're not quite sure why they are here after a while. I also think it's very important for family members, and I'm very pleased that we have that sort of a program here, because family members need to know as well what is happening. When a student calls home and says, Mom and Dad, X, Y, and Z, it's very helpful for that student if Mom and Dad understand what X, Y, and Z are, where those buildings are located.
This was the most marvelous weekend. Everybody is extremely nice and helpful. The staff, you can't beat it. Everybody is wonderful, and I just hope my daughter finds this year and the next 3 years as wonderful as I found this weekend.
Director of New Student Programs Laura Chartrand plans, coordinates, and runs orientation.
Our families that attend orientation also get an insight as to the academic programs that the college offers. They meet with the faculty advisors that their sons and daughters do meet with. They also get an opportunity to see the area. They go up to the Mohawk Mountain House on one day. They also go to the Rivendell Winery. Our hope that the freshmen get once they go through the orientation program is that they feel comfortable with the New Paltz campus, that they are reassured about the decision that they did make to attend New Paltz. When they get here, they take 3 placement exams, including English composition, mathematics, and critical thinking, which has to do with their reading comprehension, as well as meeting with faculty advisors, receiving some academic advising, and actually registering for classes. We also give them an opportunity to interact with the students that attend orientation, including Wacky Olympics.
It was entertaining, kind of put people a little at ease with each other. It was, things were a little tense at first, people kind of walking around, didn't know anybody, but it made things easier for everybody.
Club Sub is another social activity complete with comedian, lip sync contest, and dancing.
They also, too, get exposed to some of the issues that their students will be confronted with through the role plays. And we started a discussion with them, hopefully that they will continue that with their son or daughter once they go home.
Doesn't anyone love me?
Lisa, I love you.
Matt, what are you doing?
Lisa, just trust me. I know what's right for you.
Matt, stop!
Lisa, just let it happen.
Matt, I think you should go now.
Lisa?
Yes.
Did he rape you?
Yes.
In the role plays, we tried to do a lot of role reversal. Like, for instance, I was in the Queen's Rape role play, and we introduced a positive male role model who's an RA to come to the student.
Orientation was true to its logo, where times to remember begin.
And make the goals that others set, and then we'll pass them by. We're reaching for the top, no limit to what we can do, and all together, me and
one complaint. I never had time to go to the bathroom.
Well, to all this year's freshmen, we wish you good luck.
That's right, and we'll be back with more Eye on New Paltz right after this. All right, we're back with more Eye on New Paltz. Going on over here to my right is the construction of the new art building here at the SUNY New Paltz campus. Hopefully that'll be done soon, and we'll have a lot more great artists working there. And now we have a new story for you, and he's going to tell us about that.
Yeah, coming up next is WBC Super Bantamweight Champion, Hudson Valley's own TRACY Patterson.
Perseverance. That's what it takes to be a champion. Perhaps no one knows that better than Tracy Harris Patterson. For 8 years, Tracy has fought and battled his way as a professional boxer, patiently waiting for his chance to prove he is #1. His dream finally came true this past June when Tracy knocked out Thierry Jacob of France to become the undisputed WBC Super Bantamweight Champion of the world. But Tracy's story begins long before his rise to the top, when 16 years ago, a young Tracy Harris began hanging around former heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson's gym in New Paltz.
The first day I came up to the gym, I saw that everybody was much older and much bigger than I. So it kind of intimidated me a little bit. So what I would do is I would just come and I'd watch the guys train, and I must have did this for about 2 weeks before my father finally came up to me and asked me if I wanted to give it a shot, and I said sure. And here I am now, world champion.
Floyd Patterson took Tracy under his wing and into his home, adopting him when his mother moved to Alabama. Boxing in the amateur ranks, Tracy met his friend and co-trainer Brian Burke.
Brian's, sort of like a motivator. He's there kicking me in the butt when I don't want to do it. He'll when I don't want to throw another punch, he'll make me throw the punch. You need somebody like that with you along the way. So I give Brian a lot of credit.
You knew he always had it. You don't have to show him something once and it would be like rote. It would be like somebody like he was doing it all his life. So that was one of the, he always knew he had it. It's whether he was going to put it all together.
By 1985, Tracy had won 2 Golden Glove championships and more than 100 amateur fights. As a pro, Tracy won 20 straight fights before suffering his first loss. His only other loss came in a split decision against Stevie Cruz.
That was a fight that I think made him world champion today. He learned so much off of that fight, He got knocked down in the 8th round. And for the first time, I really realized just how much I loved him, as a brother. I mean, it brought tears to my eyes, Showed his determination. He picked himself right back up. Boom, fought a good fight, and it came to a split decision.
The Cruz loss was especially hard for Tracy, considering the winner went on to a title fight. He had to wait 2.5 years until he was mandatory challenger for another chance at the belt. Along the way, he knocked off 14 consecutive wins, including the NABF Super Bantamweight Championship, defending it once. Finally, Tracy signed a deal with Daniel Zaragoza for a shot at the title.
The only reason why Jacob had that belt or borrowed that belt is because Tracy stepped aside and let Jacob fight, but the stipulation was that the champion had to come to New York.
Thierry Jacob beat Zaragoza in a 10-round decision, which ultimately set a date for Tracy and Jacob to fight on June 23rd at the Knickerbocker Arena in Albany. Tracy's time has finally come.
He told me about a couple of days before the fight, though, that he's going to knock Jacob out. But he's not going past 3, I'm too determined. In his own words, I'm too determined. I've waited a long time.
To want to be the best, at what I do. And I think that's what drives me the most. I just wanting to be the best.
Closes in. appears to have rocked the champion. Yes, indeed. 10 seconds to go. Patterson closing the first round.
Gary Jacob did not last the first round without getting knocked down. And 10 seconds into the second round, the fight was over. Tracy Patterson was the new WBC Super Bantamweight Champion of the world.
Everybody knows what they get into when they get in the ring with me. You know, they know that I'm the best fighter in the world, and they're going to have to deal with it. I've never been that weight, you know, a big talk or anything like that. I get in the ring, and that's what a real talking is done. And that's why I'm the champion of the world.
Floyd Patterson and Tracy Patterson, the first father and son to have each won world championships.
Well, I can't wait till Tracy Patterson defends his title again.
A lot of interesting people in the Hudson Valley.
And we'll be right back after this. The New Paltz Chamber of Commerce will be sponsoring A Taste of New Paltz, the second annual celebration of food and fun. This year, catch live music all day, more children's activities, more restaurants, a greater variety of food, and spectacular auction items. Call 255-4688 for more information. We hope to see you there.
Andy, what's the matter?
No energy. I'm bummed out.
Oh, Andy, I'm sorry to hear. Hey, you should have been at Spirit Weekend.
No, what?
Spirit Weekend. Here, let's take a look at it.
Oh, okay.
On the weekend of September 11th through the 13th, the Residence Hall Student Association here at SUNY New Paltz held its 5th annual Spirit Weekend. Here's a look at some of the activities. On Friday, the water balloon toss.
It looks pretty boring unless somebody fell in, then it'd be really fun.
I like that a lot.
On Saturday, the Halls came out to compete in an afternoon of volleyball.
Hey, the game is going great. J.O. is getting ready to get out there. We got the dream team right here. The Olympic team, we're about to get busy out here. J.O. in effect. We're going to win.
Hooray! Who's going to win?
We are. We won last year. We were both on the team last year and we won, so we have high hopes for this year too.
Haven's gonna win. We're gonna take it all away. We're gonna sweep this weekend up and bring it home.
The Spell's gonna win. It's quite evident.
Later, the Residence Halls challenged their minds in a game of human Scrabble.
Third word is minus. Why are they going to win? Because they're all here and they're excited and they can't win anything, but they're always here and they want to win. I'm their leader! Sorry.
If Woody had gone to the police, this would never have happened.
The last event of the day was a grueling match of tug of war.
C-A-P-S, baby, gave it to the end.
New Paltz is the place to be. Rocking the mic for WMPHC. So here we go. And if you didn't know, it's time for me to go. Or should I say flow? And I don't mean slow. I think you should know. It's eye to eye in a place and then we gonna go back to Hasbrook and eat that nasty food. And here we go. And I ain't in the mood. I'm starting to get mad. I use Glad trash bag to throw away the garbage.
Ooh, he kind of lost.
Dubois just killed, man. It was the girls. The girls were the big factor.
Dubois got it going on.
See what I mean?
Matthew Chetnick, president of Residence Hall Student Association, talked about the organization of Spirit Weekend.
Basically, we called all the halls and asked for people who wanted to help out. We took
RHSA members from past years, and since this is the 5th annual one, we have a lot of ideas on what works and what doesn't work, so everyone just gets together and basically chooses what games we want to play and that kind of stuff. It kind of didn't start off too well. Everyone was about 15 minutes late to the first event, and I was kind of getting nervous, but this is the best I've ever seen it attended this year.
Think New Paltz has a lot of spirit?
Yes, definitely. It's really good to see all the students out, because in May, RHSA sent a bunch of delegates out to North Dakota, and we were named the most spirited school in the nation. And it's refreshing to see that we're actually living up to it this year.
Undoubtedly, the event with the biggest turnout was the final one, the lip sync. Capenhall was pronounced the winner of the overall competition, but one thing is certain, all those who participated definitely caught the spirit. For Eye on New Paltz, I'm Janine Giami.
I am so full of energy. Andy has spirit right now. Okay, thank you once again for joining us for this edition of Eye on New Paltz. Let's stay tuned for next month for us. And if you have any comments or questions about the show, please write us at WNPC sub 329 SUNY New Paltz 12561.
Or call at 257-3098.
Okay, that's it. We'll see you next month.